Okay, so get this, you guys. I just finished Adam Gropper's book, What They Don't Teach You in Law School. And seriously, insightful stuff,
Really?
especially if you're like trying to figure out how to actually land that dream legal job, you know?
Oh, for sure.
And the coolest part, he's got this brand new podcast. It's
Oh,
launching.
oh, I saw that. I saw that, yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I'm curious to hear his take on things, especially because,
Yeah.
he's got such a unique perspective picking partner after 150 rejections.
Right.
That's a story in itself.
Talk about perseverance. So, his first episode features Chris Gatska, who's about to start as an associate at Milbank.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Chris is looking for advice on how to really stand out. And Adam does not disappoint. Like, he gets some seriously actionable gems.
Nice.
I was taking notes like crazy.
I bet. Knowing Adam, he probably goes beyond the usual platitudes. Like, what specifically stood out to you?
Well, one thing that really resonated with me was his approach to networking. Like, it's not just about collecting business cards. It's about being strategic and genuinely curious about the people you're connecting with.
Yeah. I bet he emphasizes quality over quantity, right?
Yes.
It's easy to get caught up in the numbers game. But a few deep connections are worth more than a stack of cards.
Exactly. And he gives Chris this awesome tip. Imagine you're a journalist writing a profile on the person. What questions would you ask? How would you get them to open up about their experiences and insights? And it immediately shifts the focus from me trying to get a job to me trying to learn from someone amazing.
That's such a smart reframing.
Right.
It takes the pressure off of both sides, and it creates a more authentic connection. Did he talk about any other specific tactics?
Oh, yeah. He gets into the nitty-gritty. He talks about making networking convenient for the other person. So, like, suggesting short coffee meetings near their office, offering specific time, basically removing any barriers.
That level of thoughtfulness goes a long way. It shows that you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about respecting their time and making the interaction easy and enjoyable for them. I'm guessing he also talks about the importance of having a clear ask.
Absolutely. He says you should go into every conversation with this specific question or goal in mind. Don't just wander in, hoping something magical will happen.
Right.
Know what you want to learn. Articulate it clearly.
That makes so much sense.
Right.
I think a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, they're afraid to be too direct. But having a clear ask actually shows that you're serious and that you value their time.
Another thing Adam hammered home was the importance of understanding what employers are actually looking for.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just be a good lawyer. You have to demonstrate how your skills and experience align with their specific needs.
It's about being a problem solver and not just a task completer.
Exactly. He uses the example of Chris, who's worried about finding his niche as a tax associate. And Adam's advice. Become a synthesizer of information. Stay on top of the latest developments. Connect the dots between seemingly disparate issues and become the go-to person in the firm for insights on emerging trends.
So it's not just about knowing the law, it's about being able to apply that knowledge in a way that adds value to the firm and its clients. I bet that resonates with you, given your experience working with so many different legal teams.
Totally. It's about anticipating needs, spotting opportunities, positioning yourself as someone who can help the firm stay ahead of the curve. And you know what? That's exactly what Adam did to secure his own partnership.
He's the living embodiment of his advice, which honestly makes it that much more compelling. What other nuggets of wisdom did he drop?
Well, he had this great example about a law student named Natasha, who was struggling to get interviews. She had a solid resume, but it wasn't landing her the right opportunities. And Adam helped her realize that she needed to rewrite it from the employer's perspective, highlighting the specific skills and experience that were most relevant to their needs.
I bet he helped her cut through the generic fluff and focus on the things that actually mattered to the firms she was targeting.
Exactly. And guess what? She landed her dream job the very next week.
Wow.
It wasn't about adding more bullet points. It was about showcasing the specific ways she could solve their problems, which, let's be honest, is what any employer is ultimately looking for.
It's about being a solution provider, not just a job applicant. Adam's really good at getting people to think differently about the job search process. It's not just about checking boxes. It's about understanding the bigger picture and positioning yourself strategically.
Speaking of strategy, Adam also talks about the importance of building a strong personal brand.
This is where things get really interesting. A lot of people hear personal branding, and they think it's all about self-promotion and social media. But I bet Adam has a more nuanced take on it.
You're right. He emphasizes that it's not about bragging. It's about demonstrating how your unique skills and experience align with the needs you've already identified in the employer. It's about showing them that you're not just qualified, you're the perfect fit for their team.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your passions, skills,
I,
and the employer's needs all intersect. I'm starting to see why his book is so popular with law students. He's giving them a roadmap for success that they're not getting anywhere else.
and he's doing it in a way that's super relatable and actionable. He doesn't just tell you what to do. He explains why it works and gives you concrete examples of how his advice has helped other people succeed.
That's what separates good advice from truly transformative advice. It's not just about knowing the steps. It's about understanding the underlying principles and being able to apply them to your own unique situation.
And you know what else I really appreciate about Adam? He emphasizes the importance of playing the long game. He doesn't sugarcoat the fact that the legal job market is competitive. But he also reminds us that rejections are not failures. They're opportunities to learn, refine our approach, and ultimately come back stronger.
That's a really important message, especially in a field that can be so focused on immediate results. Did he give any specific examples of how this long game approach has played out in real life?
He did. He talks about a student named Stanley, who initially struggled with mediocre grades. And it would have been easy for him to get discouraged and give up on his dream of working at a big law firm. But he didn't. He took Adam's advice to heart, sought out mentorship, built up relevant experience, and even retook some classes to improve his GPA.
So he was actively taking steps to address his weaknesses and make himself a more competitive candidate.
Exactly. And guess what? He ended up landing a job at a top firm.
Wow.
It wasn't easy, but his persistence and willingness to play the long game ultimately paid off.
That's such a powerful story. It's a reminder that success isn't always linear. Sometimes you have to take a few detours or overcome some setbacks along the way. But if you're persistent and you stay focused on your goals, you can achieve amazing things.
It's funny, we talk about this long game in the legal field, but it applies to so much more than just landing that first job.
Yeah, it's a mindset shift, really. Instead of getting fixated on the immediate outcome, you're playing chess, thinking several moves ahead. I'm curious, did Adam give any advice on how to actually cultivate that long-term vision?
Oh, absolutely. He lays out this whole 6-step process in his book. It's like a roadmap for law students to go from clueless and overwhelmed to confident and strategic about their career path.
I'm guessing law schools aren't exactly handing out this kind of practical guidance.
Not really. They teach you how to think like a lawyer, but not necessarily how to build a successful legal career. And Adam is filling that gap.
Yeah.
So his first step, committing to a plan. It sounds simple, but it's about making a conscious decision to take ownership of your journey.
That resonates with me. So often people just drift through law school, hoping things will just fall into place. But Adam's saying, no, you need to be proactive and intentional about your future.
Exactly. And then he talks about the importance of choosing a major. It's about specializing, focusing your energy on a specific area of law where you can truly excel. He even encourages thinking about market dynamics, like what fields are in high demand, but have relatively few specialists.
That's so smart. It's about aligning your passions with the needs of the market. Did he give any examples of how to identify those sweet spot areas?
He's all about informational interviews, but not the generic kind where you just fire off your resume. He encourages you to approach these conversations like a journalist, genuinely curious about the day-to-day realities of different legal practices.
So it's less about, here's why you should hire me, and more about, help me understand what your world is actually like.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip from Adam. When reaching out for these informational interviews, make it clear that you're not asking for a job. It takes the pressure off both sides and allows for a more open, honest conversation.
That's brilliant. It's just the dynamic. From a transactional, I need something from you, to a collaborative, let's learn from each other.
And once you've got that foundational understanding, Adam says it's all about thinking like an employer.
This is where I imagine a lot of law students trip up. They're so focused on showcasing their accomplishments that they forget to consider what the employer actually needs.
Yeah, he really drives this point home with Natasha's story. The student who rewrote her resume to highlight the specific skills that were most relevant to the firms she was targeting. And remember, she landed her dream job immediately after making that shift.
It's a testament to the power of tailoring your message to the audience. It's not about embellishing or exaggerating. It's about understanding the employer's pain points and demonstrating how you can be the solution.
He even suggests asking potential employers, what are your biggest challenges? Or what outcomes are you hoping to achieve? It shows that you're not just focused on yourself. You're genuinely interested in helping them succeed.
I can already see how this approach would set someone apart from the sea of generic applicants. It's about being a strategic partner, not just another cog in the wheel.
You know, it strikes me that Adam's approach is almost counterintuitive to the traditional law school mindset. He's encouraging people to be less risk-averse, more entrepreneurial, and willing to embrace uncertainty.
That's what makes his advice so refreshing. He's not just regurgitating the same old platitudes. He's challenging people to think differently about their careers and to take ownership of their future.
He even encourages people to reach out to firms that rejected them and ask for feedback. Can you imagine the guts it takes to do that?
Most people would rather avoid that kind of confrontation, but Adam sees it as a valuable learning opportunity. It's about turning a negative experience into a chance for growth and self-improvement.
He tells the story about Thomas, a student who got rejected from his top choice firm. And instead of wallowing in self-pity, he reached out to one of the interviewers and asked for honest feedback.
I'm on the edge of my seat. What happened?
Yeah, the interviewer told him that he came across as arrogant and unprepared, which is probably the last thing any law student wants to hear.
Ouch, that's gotta sting.
But instead of getting defensive, Thomas took it as a wake-up call. He realized that he needed to work on his interviewing skills and gain more relevant experience. He ended up landing a summer associate position at a financial services firm, which gave him the skills and experience he needed to make himself a more competitive candidate.
So he took that rejection and turned it into fuel for his future success. I love that. It's a reminder that sometimes you have to take a few steps back to ultimately move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the essence of Adam's message. The legal job market is tough, but it's not insurmountable. The more prepared you are, the more strategic you are, the better your chances of success. And he gives you the tools to do just that.
He's like that wise mentor you wish you had in law school, guiding you through the complexities of the legal world and showing you how to navigate it with confidence and grace.
I couldn't have said it better myself. His book and podcast are like a masterclass in building a successful legal career. I'm already recommending them to all my law student friends.
As you should. He's providing a service that's desperately needed in the legal education landscape. It's about empowering people to take control of their careers and to create the future they want.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
One of the things I found most refreshing about Adam's book
Yeah.
is his honesty about the fact that everyone faces setbacks.
Yeah.
He doesn't sugarcoat the challenges of the legal job market, even for those who seem to have it all together, you know?
It's like he normalizes the struggle. So many people feel like they're the only ones going through it. But Adam shows that rejection is part of the process, even for the most successful lawyers.
Absolutely. And instead of seeing rejection as a failure, he reframes it as a valuable learning opportunity.
Right.
He even encourages you to reach out to firms that rejected you and ask for feedback.
That's such a bold move. I feel like most people would shy away from that. But Adam sees it as a chance to gain valuable insights and improve your approach. It shows that you're serious about your career and willing to learn from your mistakes.
He tells this great story about Kevin, an auditor-turned-law student who was initially struggling to find his footing. He was on the wait list for his top choice law school, ended up at his second choice, and was feeling pretty discouraged.
I can relate to that feeling of, what am I even doing here?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to others and feeling like you're falling behind.
Exactly. But Adam encouraged Kevin to embrace the opportunities that were right in front of him, even if they didn't seem ideal at first.
So instead of getting hung up on what didn't work out, he focused on making the most of his current situation. Did Adam offer any specific strategies for doing that?
He did. He suggested that Kevin look for ways to gain experience and build a unique skill set, even if it meant taking a job that wasn't his dream job right out of the gate.
So it's about playing the long game again, right? Building a foundation that will ultimately set you up for success down the road. I'm curious, what kind of opportunity did Kevin end up pursuing?
He ended up taking a government job at the IRS Office of Chief Counsel, a position that a lot of his classmates probably wouldn't have considered.
It's interesting how we often dismiss certain opportunities because they don't fit our preconceived notions of what success should look like. But sometimes those unconventional paths can lead to the most rewarding experiences.
Exactly. And in Kevin's case, it allowed him to develop a deep understanding of tax law and build a unique skill set That made him stand out from other candidates.
So he took what could have been seen as a detour and turned it into a strategic advantage. Did that experience ultimately help him land his dream job?
It absolutely did. He was able to leverage that experience to get a position at a prestigious law firm specializing in tax law. It's proof that, sometimes, the path to success isn't linear. What initially seems like a setback can actually be a springboard to something even better.
It's a great reminder that we shouldn't be afraid to explore opportunities outside our initial vision. Yeah, sometimes those unexpected paths lead to the most fulfilling and successful careers.
I couldn't agree more. Adam Gropper's book and podcast are full of so much valuable insight. It's not just about landing a job. It's about building a fulfilling and impactful career that aligns with your values and goals.
He's really providing a blueprint for success in the legal world, and honestly, it's applicable to so many other fields as well. His emphasis on strategic thinking, building relationships, and embracing a growth mindset is universally valuable.
Absolutely. So if you're feeling lost,
Yeah.
confused, or just need a little guidance on your career journey, I highly recommend checking out Adam's work. It's a game changer.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Adam Gropper's wisdom. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired and ready to tackle whatever challenges come my way.
Me too. It's a great reminder that success is within reach. As long as we're willing to put in the work, stay focused, and never stop learning.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
Oh,